I'll call the Village of Bondwell notice of the public budget hearing 2024 proposed budget order. Notice is hereby given in ordinance with the section 65.90 Wisconsin statutes that a public hearing will be held at the Bondwell Village Hall, 117 West Green Bay Street, Bondwell, Wisconsin, on Wednesday, November 8th, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. on the 2024 proposed budget. The proposed budget in detail is available for inspection at Village Hall in the clerk treasurer's office from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday or by appointment. Notice is further given that immediately following the completion of the public hearing, the regular village board meeting will be held to adopt the 2024 budget.
Questions?
I'm just going to say thank you for the library. I'm required to be here twice a year. The only new thing is that we now have Ben Faulkner working at the library, and he's going to become a branch manager in Virginia. He started in June, and he really likes it.
What's his name?
Ben Faulkner, they like the office, and he's a writer.
So what are you gonna do with all your time now?
So I'll still be working 20 hours instead of 27.
Oh. Okay. You get a 7-hour break, nice.
Well, we still get compliments on the day job, so we're grateful for that. Yeah, I'm just concerned about the budget. If we get the backlight fixture work.
If it doesn't, we'll look at it.
Okay.
So there's a light fixture in the back that doesn't work, like inside, outside.
I don't know if it's on the time.
I'll check it. We'll check it out tomorrow. Make sure that's working. Yeah, it's probably just needs a bulb or updating, maybe put a new fixture out there.
The winter I do use that door to pull out.
Okay. There should be an eye on it. We'll make sure that it's working and then, if not, we'll put a new one up there.
That's it, you can go.
Don't feel bad.
That's
Don't
okay.
put all this work out.
No, that's okay.
I just
Thanks.
think it's a very light report.
Okay.
plus the Countywide schedule.
Okay, yeah, we've been hanging it, so when you send us the
Yeah, I saw
monthly,
it.
we've been
Color
put-
everything.
yep.
I put every color for it.
I send it to Jen and she puts it out there, so.
Thank you. And our numbers are actually up in October, we had 700 people count. Which is-
I know my daughter started using it because her husband told her she couldn't buy any more books.
There's a whole bunch of people reading the books that she's
Yep.
reading, those are
Yep,
really
they
popular.
throw them all around.
When they stop being so busy, I'll start reading.
Yeah. She's a very good author.
Okay.
Who is it? Never heard.
So,
What about Warren as well?
Thanks for
All right,
coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you.
I thought that was the bell.
That was my reminder to myself to check the library. So.
I had nobody pick up the budget.
Mm.
How long do we have to keep that? Just in case. The next meeting we're having next Tuesday, right? The week of the 20th.
Yeah, the cow we're having, not on
Not
Wednesday,
on
we're
Wednesday, on Tuesday.
Tuesday, the 6th. 6 o'clock is basic, constant. 21st and 6th.
Yeah, yeah, that still works for me. I was just verifying, and then when Friday, when you must have that glitch, I put it into my, do I have a meeting or something? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it was a Gmail thing with the DNS. It was something with.
The state was having issues with Gmail and also our DNS, once we switched to our new website.
Oh,
Had a little
Something with the
glitch.
state, so we had to send the state to give us access.
So, but it's all resolved now. Everything's
I-
updated.
Yeah, I was able to get it Monday, but I was really confused if I had.
Yeah, we did.
I was like, I have it, and I found it, but now I'm really questioning if I have it.
Jesse, you coming to Veterans Day on Friday?
Where is this at?
At school.
What time?
Ten
Can you
thirty.
come and have breakfast?
Daytime?
I was gonna say it was
Can have
10:30. I thought
breakfast,
the
yeah.
ceremony was at.
Can you come and have breakfast?
Breakfast. I have to check my schedule. Pretty free. Friday.
Flapjacks.
Was that flapjacks?
Flapjacks.
Also, if anybody's interested in mugs, my two children are in middle school and are selling them.
Mums?
The mugs, the
Oh.
tumblers.
Yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
No, they brought home packets. Just like Bondable Bears, it's the little pop prints or whatever. $20 for the 20 ounce and.
Breakfast is at 9.
Have to pre-register. Go, where do I show up? At the vestibule?
I know, it was just.
Yes, keep making fun of that word, because I
I
said it
know,
the other day.
right?
Just like Jan and Ray was stuck in the vestibule.
Yeah.
That's all I can think about. Every time somebody says that word.
I said the vestibule the other day, he's like,
Vestibule.
heck is the vestibule?
Is that the vestibule for here?
Yeah. He's
Entrance?
like,
We
I'm
just can't say
laughing 'cause you
entrance?
said vestibule. I'm like,
We had a testy mule when I was a kid. He used to kick you every time I got close.
A testy mule?
Yeah. He was abused. Not by us, that's why we got it.
Yeah, we'll close the public hearing. Move into our Village of Bondwell Village Board meeting, Wednesday, November 8th, 2023 at 5:38 PM, I guess. Pledge of Allegiance, South Meditation.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Statement regarding the meeting notice. The agenda for the meeting was sent to the Shawnee Leader and results broadcast. Copies of the agenda were also posted at the Village Hall, Bondwell State Bank, and Bondwell Library. Can I have approval of the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda and deviate as necessary.
Second.
Motion by Hottenstein, second by Kelly. To approve the agenda and deviate as necessary. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Can I have approval of the October 11th, 2023 minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with two corrections. One in the acknowledgement of citizens of an open forum. Should be Patricia Love. And then also in the police department report, there will be a drug take back event held. And other than that, that's it.
Motion by Kelly, second by Court. To approve the minutes with the corrections. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Acknowledgement of citizenship open forum, well, we had Allison Schultz here. Communication, petitions, correspondence. Committee reports. Whole committee on file.
We didn't have one.
Huh?
We didn't have a committee of the whole, did we?
No, it was
No.
the
Special board.
special vote.
Police department on file. Fire department report on file. EMS report on file. Clerk and treasurer's report.
Our report is on file. Don't really know what's going on. Ganshell Street, there'll be some changes to the budget we'll talk about. I did get verification from everybody as to what they're doing with the special, so we have some changes to the 300 fund, because a lot of people have paid it up already. So we'll have an adjustment there. Border review will be next week. Package should be going out hopefully before the end of the week. I just emailed Brian tonight to get the TID report from him. And there will be also a fire commission meeting next week, which I just got approval from the grant.
Municipal operations department report. Jesse Rankin.
Reports on file, just touch a few things. Large item pickup went well. We had 5 truckloads that we ended up taking to Shawano. Rather than trying to put it in our compactor and then having that hauled. All in all, it cost us $280. I think we'll recoup that cost from the aluminum and metal that we recoup when we turn that in. So it should be a push for obviously the time and the vehicle, but the cost for us to take it in is a push. Crack sealing's done. The lights at Village Park, so I submitted for MLB grant. We were denied fairly quickly. They give you no feedback, but you can resubmit in 6 months. So I'm looking at additional places to resubmit. And then in April, I resubmit again for the MLB grant. The feedback you get is just you're denied. That's it. So we'll talk about our survey, and our new website is launched November 1st. So that's up and running.
Board reports. There were none. Huh?
Nope.
At all. Miscellaneous reports?
None.
New business, K1, discussion and possible action on the 2024 budget.
All right, so the 24 budget is in there. As I noted, there is a change to the 300 fund. So the Ganshell Street assessments, pretty much everybody has paid. We have 3 parties that are doing the assessment only over a 5-year period. So what that did is it brought down our income. So what that means is it's going to raise what we need to levy for, because the overall revenue dropped 2745 as to what I kind of projected. We had thought that some weren't going to pay it up front. So it was 2745 is what it dropped in revenue. So we will have to ask for an additional 2745 from what the original budget or the original levy limit was. So we're increasing the levy by that amount because we don't have that extra revenue coming in because it came in this year. That makes sense? So we were originally in the publication budget, we were asking for the project fund. We were asking for 322,279. Now it's increased basically
27,000
2,700.
or 2,700.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so it went up. So that means the overall projection at the end, where we were asking for 735 or 700, and at the end it's now 735,002. Originally, when we had printed the publication budget, it was 732,257. So we're up to $2,745. Okay, so it's up, which increased us a little bit for the net change. So I think it was $8.16.
819.
Now we're at $8.19 per thousand. So let me just look here real quick, make sure that's what we were at. Yeah, we were at $8.16 prior with the original publication. Now we're at $8.19. And that's without the tip. So it went up 2 cents because of the $2,700. So if you don't want to do that, we would have to figure out where to cut $2,745. Otherwise, that would be the number with that. We also did get the assessed full valuation. We didn't go up a ton, but it is, the valuation of the village is $89,758,400. So that number was plugged into the new, into the publication budget. So we did go up a little bit from last year. Last year we were at 89,989. So with that, I guess, is there any questions on what's in the budget?
I think we've went over everything.
Yeah. So at this point, basically, what we have in everything, we've, for the general fund, we've budgeted for the lights, or a good portion of the lights, not the entire amount. We've budgeted extra for, the PD, for the full-time cop. And we've also budgeted, we've moved some of that money around that was gonna be for, just for the lights. We've kind of switched a little bit of that, pushed a little bit more to the PD so that we have the overlap for coverage. So we've done that. The other thing that was done with the PD that I wanted to mention is that you'll notice it's a weird amount for the police salary, the chief salary. I didn't have anything in the supplemental insurance. We do have a supplemental insurance that we've had on the part-timers, so if they get hurt, they had insurance. We had to renew that. And so being that we don't know when we're gonna have a full-time person in, the supplemental comes due in January. So we're going to have to do it, and that cost is $23.56 this year. I did talk to the insurance. We can't do like a 6-month, but he said if we renew it, and let's say we hire the chief and he's in here in February, we can cancel and then they prorate it and give us back the refund of the difference.
Oh, okay.
So I have it in the budget. I took the difference out of the salary of the police chief so that we still are at the same dollar amount, so it didn't change the dollar amount, but know that we're probably not going to end up having to spend that because the police chief's not going to need it because they're covered under our insurance.
Right.
And they're covered under all the benefits.
Right.
We only had this supplement for the part-timers, but I would hate to see something happen to one of the part-timers
And not
in that 2-month period or whatever that period ends up being and not have that supplemental.
Right.
I mean, that covers them if they get hurt, get shot, killed, whatever, that pays on
Yeah.
those part-timers. So, I adjusted that one, but it didn't change the figure at all. And there's a little bit of leeway in a lot of those numbers, just because we kind of built it that way. So we should be okay there.
Okay.
We do have in there, everything for fire department. We've got the lights in there. So the general fund is good. The equipment fund, what we have in there for that is we have 2 full sets of fire department gear, which would include all the gear, helmets, and boots. We have money in there to start saving for that backhoe to buy in year 3. We put in $36,000 for that. We still have the sodium lights in there. So that's what we'd be working on in the 200 fund for capital equipment. The project fund, we will have in there, we have money set in there right now for the 117, which is kind of transferring in ARPA money going out for that. So that's kind of a wash. And the rest of it's pretty much just the normal debt going in and out. So that's kind of what we're covering there. As far as the TID goes, when we get to that, we're going to have to approve it with preliminary numbers. We are waiting on the school's numbers yet for their tax levy. And we're also waiting on the school credit from the state. The school numbers are supposed to be submitted by Friday, so they have till Friday to send them out, so we probably will get those next week sometime. And then the school credit from the state is due to us around the 20th of the month. So the TID, those numbers are all based on it's a calculation. So like if you look at these first couple pages in here where I have the TID calculations, it's all based on the red numbers I'm still missing. So once I get those, it'll calculate out and that'll give me my final numbers for the TID. So we'll have to approve the TID budget, with those numbers to come in. So, but the TID is pretty much cut and dry otherwise. This will be the last year that we have payments coming out of the TID. So we have the last year in 24 will be the last year of debt for general obligation loan. And it'll be the last year that we have to pay the sewer back. But the TID is closing in 24, and I believe our last payment will be coming in 25. So we'll know more about that next week when we meet for the TID board of review. But we should be, I'm thinking, paying up all of our debt with that closure. So I think that's kind of where we're sitting with this budget. We do meet the expenditure restraint. I ran those numbers with all the new numbers. We come in, we have to be at about an 8%, even though it really doesn't matter this year. But ideally, we want to stay in that so that we meet it the following year. We came in at a 6.19% increase. We have to be within the 8, so we are well within that range. So we will meet it this next year. Like I said, we don't have to, but we met it last year, but we would be good for the following year. So I think we need all the checks that we need to. So for this one, we would just need to basically approve it with the noted changes for the 300 fund, to make the adjustment to increase the levy for the 300. And then we would move to the next things, and then we would do the resolutions to approve the actual budget.
So we're gonna do that at the following meeting, the TID meeting, or?
Nope, we would approve, so this one, we're just looking, we basically now is what we're doing is looking at this budget. If there's anything else we want to change at this point, we could. So we're either gonna approve this with the final numbers as is with the noted change, like I said, to the 300 is the only one that's really a change. So we would say, we're gonna approve it with the final noted change to the 300 fund and go forward. And then we'll do the water, and then when we adopt, basically the TID budget, we'd be doing that by resolution, and then, or the village budget, and then the TID, and when we do the TID, then we would make sure when we adopt it by resolution that we know that we're saying, we're adopting it by resolution with the with the final numbers to be presented yet, basically, or to be coming yet.
Okay. I'll make the motion to approve it with the 300 fund budget changes.
Motion by Kelly, second by
Page.
Page. To approve the 2024 budget with changes in the 300 fund. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Discussion and possible action to approve the 2024 water and sewer utility budgets.
There's a few changes made to the water budget, mostly due to increased cost from Northern Lake Services that does our well monitoring, HydroCorp that does our cross connection inspection for commercial, and PJ Corton, the one who does the maintenance on our SCADA system and all of that. So on the outside services, it went up slightly. 18,000 for next year due to the changes, increase in cost. That's different than what I originally had in there. And then also repairs to water plant. We already went over our budget this year, so I upped that a little bit to make sure we're safe for next year. That's the changes to the water and the sewer. Well, just to point out, the water, we also added in the capital infrastructure to $768,000 for Gancho Street. So when you go to the back page, it looks like we had a 2,000% increase, but that increase is the added infrastructure that we're gonna have to pay for when we do 117.
So we're doing that in this year rather than next year, for what reason?
It'll be next year's budget that we have to
Oh,
pay
got
for.
you. Yeah, yeah.
But we also show we also have the debt and, or we also show that there's the income coming in there too. So we're showing on the first page, you show the, like where it says due from enterprise fund, that 200,000, that's gonna be what we're using from cash on hand. The 517, 520 is what we're gonna have to take out as a loan, a gold bond of some sort. And then we're using, are we using other money from there too? Is there another chunk we're using, or is that the total?
ARPA, water,
ARPA, we're using 54, right? Or what we're using?
146.
146?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there was extra money that we were using. So the proceeds of all that money is in there too, so.
Okay.
So we're showing that the money is coming in, so it kind of washes it out, but there is an increase for sure.
Okay. So that's why the total, when you go to the back page, if you look at the grand totals, the change in percentages, it's not that your operation budget's going up that much. That's all calculated in there. Going on to the sewer, didn't change anything to the sewer budget. Any questions on that?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2024 water and sewer budget with the voted changes.
I'll second it.
Motion by Court, second by Zuliger, to approve the 2024 water and sewer utility budgets with the changes. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Discussion and possible action on resolution 2023-19, adopting the 2024 village budget.
All right, so this is the 24 budget resolution. This is with the new numbers with the 300 fund changes, with the increase of the 2745 in it already. So this one would be good to approve as.
I'll make a motion to adopt the 2024 village budget.
Second.
Introduced by Kelly, second by Page. To approve the resolution 2023-19, adopting the 2024 budget. Any discussion? Roll call?
Court,
Yes.
Ottenstein,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yep.
Page.
Yep.
Stashik.
Yes.
Zuliger,
Yes.
Game.
Yes. Resolution passed. Discussion and possible action on resolution 2023-20, adopting the 2024 TID budget.
So this is the one that, like I said, we are waiting on the school levy limit, and we are waiting on that school credit, which will come in later this month. So this one would need to be introduced with the TID calculation tax calculation to be filled in along with, the final, revenue fund to be filled in.
I'll introduce resolution 2023-20 to adopt the 2024 TID budget with the TID calculation and the revenue calculation.
I'll second it.
Introduced by Court, second by Stashik,
Zuliger.
or Zilliger, sorry about that. Introduce resolution 2023-20 adopting the 2024 TID budget with the tax calculation and revenue calculations. Any discussion? Roll call?
Court,
Yes.
Ottenstein,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Page,
Yes.
Stashik,
Yes.
Zuliger,
Yes.
Game.
Yes. Resolution passed. Discussion of possible action on approval of village police department hearing examiner list.
This was from a special village board meeting. As I stated there, all of these have agreed to be hearing examiners if and when needed. So we just need a final approval on these examiners.
I'll make a motion to approve the village police department hearing examiners list.
I'll second that.
Motion by Ottenstein, second by Court. For approval of the village police department hearing examiner list. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Discussion and possible action on PFAS class action settlements.
So this is PFAS, big keyword, what it is, Forever Chemicals. Forever Chemicals are produced by companies that make like fire extinguishers, the firefighting foam, things of that nature. It's in everything. It's in everything from Teflon to your McDonald's wrappers, to you name it, you got PFAS. So long story short is that DuPont and 3M have class action lawsuits against them. And we as a village have essentially three options. But before I say our options, let me tell you, we were the beta test for the DNR, to test for PFAS. We have no detectable levels. We've also completed the first round of required testing with the DNR and no detectable levels. We have 2 consecutive tests. We are able to skip testing until the end of the year. So right now, as it currently stands, we have no detectable levels of any of the Forever Chemicals. So with this lawsuit that come out, you have 3 options. Do nothing, and essentially you get nothing. You can opt out of it, saying we don't want to be part of the class action lawsuit. But if we ever discover, which relieves us from any payments or anything from the current one, if we ever discover PFAS, then we have action to take to 3M or DuPont, depending upon whoever, to try to get a settlement. The lawyer, this note we have in here is from our lawyer, our town council. The lawyer that responded, Mike, is the PFAS expert, I guess. But what he's saying is, if we discover PFAS, let's say 2027, and we test, and we want to sue DuPont or 3M, we'll be footing the bill for the lawyer, and there may be no money left in the pot to get a settlement from at that time. But again, we aren't going to get a settlement because we have no PFAS. So, and you either have to opt out by December 4th or December 11th, depending upon which one it is. I believe that was the 2 dates. And if you want to stay in the class action lawsuit, we can tell them we want to stay in it. But again, we're not going to get any compensation because we have no chemicals. The only thing we might be able to get would be some testing money back, which would be, it's about $500 to test for PFAS. That's what we paid the first go around. So that would be the only compensation we'd be able to even claim or try to get out of the first lawsuit. If we opt out and we get some, we might be able to get some later. So that's the facts. I don't know if you read over the letter. But the big thing is that we have no, because the way it's a big long formula of the amount of forever chemicals that you have by the amount of people, if you have transient, non-transient, community and non-community water sources, depends how much money you get. But when you have zero times whatever, is still zero.
We would have to try to get the money for the testing.
I could ask Mike to see if we can try to get that $500 back. It's roughly $500. I don't know the exact amount, but I know it was around $500.
This is if you have not detected PFAS, you will be eligible to receive funding to conduct testing approximately $800 and potentially receive compensation if it's detected prior to 2026.
Right, so I don't know, since we have no detectable level,
Right now.
I got a question into our lawyers about that. So, and it also calls out 3,300 people or more, which we are now.
Okay.
So, and it was a generic, I sat through a long webinar with this with the entire country. There's thousands of people on there. And it was very confusing because what's non-community water sources? Well, non-community water sources are like a college where you have periods of time that are sitting in. And then you have transient water systems like snowbirds that go to Florida, that large communities that absorb more people during the winter and so forth and so on. So, and it's very confusing. And I asked our lawyers for their opinion in it. This is what I got back. I got a question to them to state, okay, you essentially have three options. Opt out. Maybe there'd be money down the road if we ever get any. Stay in, try to get some money from our testing, or do nothing, and it relieves them all legal responsibility towards us if we ever discover PFAS. So
Will you even qualify to get on that?
I don't think we do, but that's a question I have to ask.
Right.
And
I guess that's what I would wonder.
because they said everybody got a letter saying how much they would get,
Right.
and we never received a letter.
So we're under the,
Under the 3,300. So we never received a letter from DuPont or 3M.
Right.
And I haven't heard anything saying any settlement. The League of Municipalities has put together a letter to opt out for utilities, and I asked them, hey, if everybody got a letter, can I get a copy of Bonneville Waterworks if we qualify for anything? And I haven't heard nothing from them. And then I also asked the lawyers that were on that webinar, to look into the Village of Bonneville, and please email me back, because there was a bunch of us that never received a letter, and I haven't heard anything back from them or our lawyers about said letter.
Yeah.
because they have to keep a list of the respondents, the people they responded to, correct?
Right. So I try to Google it and try to find something, settlement letters, 3M, and that I couldn't find a list, because other municipalities got a letter from them and stated amount of compensation they were looking at. And there's the city of not Madison, that's trying to compile a list of what everybody was offered. So I don't know if it's buried in the web somewhere where nobody can find all this, because it should be public knowledge.
Right.
And so the guy went, Sun Prairie, wanted to know how much you were being compensated if you were staying in it or if you're opting out. And I was like, I ain't even got a letter. I don't know.
So do you think it's something you're gonna have any kind of an answer before the next
Right. So we got to decide by December 4th.
Right.
I don't think we just do nothing.
I don't
Right.
either, because if we do at some point have
Unless they
that
don't
show up,
qualify, yeah.
Yeah, unless we don't qualify.
Right. So that's my question to the lawyer.
Right.
And, if we're under 3,300, because we're at let's just say 1,500 people, we're half of what they're asking. We have no detectable levels of PFAS currently. We've tested already. Is there any compensation we get for testing? And to make sure I understand what this letter says.
Right.
Essentially is what I told them. So I think that's something we need to contemplate, and I owe you answers, but we have to make a decision on the November 20, whatever board meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, so hopefully you'll hear something by then.
I should. I mean, they're a little bit delayed in responses. We'll get to something else we got coming up. Since actually, I mean, they're still good. They're way more responsive than what I had before, but it usually takes them a week because I'm dealing with a bunch of different lawyers. Like Mike's the PFAS, Rose does other things that's taken up for Ashley and so forth and so on. So,
Like Rose does not even work for them, she's just
Oh.
contacted in. She
Oh.
works for another municipality.
so I'm sure. I mean, I get a response, but it's like a week or two later. Not a month or 6 later.
Oh, she's not. Yeah.
I think we should move it to the next meeting for.
Move it
see if
to the
you have
call.
Right.
We'll put it
Yeah,
on as
and then
an
we
I wanted to get it in
Discuss
front of you so that way you could think about it and read the letter
Yeah.
and contemplate it.
Yeah, so we'll move it to the call meeting,
Yeah,
and I'll move it, we'll have it as an action.
Yes.
Second.
Moved by consensus. Discussion of possible action on outdoor rec plan. Residential survey results.
So as you know, we completed our survey. We got 207 responses, which is fairly good for the amount of residents we have. It was well advertised on the radio, on the paper, on our website, everywhere else. No real big surprises in there other than, personally, I thought pickleball would be a lot more in favor of than it was. It's actually split right down the middle, 50-50. Because we had 207 responses. I think it's 103 to 104.
Not everybody likes pickles.
Well, we got rid of that factory, so. There's some good responses on there. Some things I'd like to point out that what I plan on doing, what we plan on doing, me and Ken from Cedar Corp, take this to Plan Commission with the list that we put together, bounce it off of this list, sort of compile it, and then bring it back to the board with recommendations on what we have top priority for on our outdoor rec plan. Obviously, on both Village Park and Cedar Park, you can see the playground equipment is, overwhelmingly over 60% on both of them, saying they want that done. There are a few interesting things in the survey, such as vacation of the road to make the park whole. There was, where is that? I think there was 80% said, yeah, that's a good idea. 20% said no. I think that's something noteworthy right there, seeing how the road was never really there, and that will solidify the park. That would obviously hinder a few people at that end. People would consider donating dollars for the park improvements, so that was a plus. And I think that has to make sure that it's, like it says, specifically for a park project.
Splash pad was mentioned a couple times.
Yeah, a splash pad has been mentioned.
More benches throughout the whole park.
Yeah, there's a lot of comments in there. You can read them. Benches throughout the park, and nobody wants to say, "Hey, let's trim and prune some trees." Nobody wants to do that, but that's a need that we're gonna have to have down at that park. Both parks, there are old trees down there. There's a lot of limbs that are around, and some of them trees are not gonna be cheap. But I think we're gonna obviously have to cut some down to get playground equipment in there, because if you look at our swings, the swings, as you come off the swings, you're right there into a tree. So that's probably not the
I think
best.
some of this stuff comes from, because Shawno just did a whole
Oh,
bunch
yeah.
of updates.
Well, you can read the comments and it says, look at Plasky, look at Shawno. And
Look at the size of that community.
I'll also say that I am checking with MSA, because MSA got a lot of funding. MSA is another engineering group that does a lot of stuff. Got a lot of funding for Shawno. And I was like, well, what's the secret sauce here? So I got the same people looking into that for us, along with a couple other things that, Shawno's always touting like that park they got for little to no money to the taxpayer. I find that hard to believe. I do believe they got large grants. Maybe they had large donations. I don't know. But I'm trying to find all that out, because we would like to get some of that goodness and spread it out here throughout the community. And again, the size of the Shawno is 6 times size of us. So the splash pad, I'd like to do a splash pad, but there's a cost to everything. Just like I would like to have a better beach and a lifeguard on duty, but
I see a lot of better bathrooms, I guess. I don't understand. I guess maybe Village, but the ones at Cedar are.
yeah, some of them are kind of head scratchers, like new bathrooms at Cedar Park. And then they also said that old concession stand they would like to see renovated. But I don't know if that's worth sticking that kind of money into 2 concession stands at one park. There's a lot of comments. You can cruise through them, take them for what they're worth.
Did you see a lot of, double respondents in that number?
Not really. I don't have the exact number of respondents per IP address, but they can track that and they said there wasn't a huge amount. It's not like 60 came from one house.
Right.
Obviously from because we manually input, that's how we manually input the survey from here. So we were the largest inputter of surveys.
But we didn't enter a lot of them.
No,
I think there was only maybe 4 or 6.
4 or 6, and then I'm sure
Something
Jen
like
took the
that.
survey, or somebody.
Yeah, she might have, but I think we only hand entered maybe 6 of them.
Right.
That, most of, and it was like a couple of couples, like older couples that brought in paper ones that we had to hand enter for them. So there wasn't a lot that we handed.
And a lot of the comments you can tell you got, I mean, if it was the same comment over and over again.
Just like,
There's a couple, we need to do better with connecting the Mountain Bay Trail, and we got that, but I don't know how to do that without buying
We've got-
land and.
Well, that's the other thing, you got the right of way from the railroad, whether they would sell it for, to give us the access. I mean,
Yeah, and I've been working with Channel Pathways. So there's a trail that's behind Worldwide Signs that Tom Zernicke lets the village, I guess, use. And we cut it, and so access, but it's hard to keep people from parking in front of it. And then, so the Channel Pathways asked the Channel County Park Department to talk to Tom Zernicke about purchasing that. And then they backed out, because I talked to Tom about it, and it would leave them with a unusable parcel between the vet clinic and that trail. So now you're talking, you gotta buy a larger parcel, and he's not really ready to part with that, so. Plus, we don't have the money.
Right.
So it was a moot point pretty quickly. But yeah, definitely better playgrounds, which is obviously needed with the shape of the slides, the swings and everything else.
And swings that don't speak.
We'll get some oil out there.
mine was the burning of the hot steel as I slid down the slide.
We don't really need approval if we just,
publish it, or just
to,
Mhm.
do you want to publish it? Or do you want to-
or were we gonna publish it just online?
Yeah, do you need to-
I don't wanna publish it in the paper. or anything.
No, but I mean, do you wanna have it out there for people
Yeah.
to see the results?
So I guess approval to publish the survey.
I make a motion to approve and publish this survey.
I'll second it.
Motion by Clark, second by Zuliger, to approve the outdoor recreation plan resident survey results. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Right.
Opposed? Motion carried. L1, unfinished business. Discussion of possible action on appointments to boards, commissions, and committees.
We got anybody?
I'm still questioning people.
Okay, so we got rid of the police committee, so I don't know if we wanna hit those people up.
Ones on off the police committee?
I can give you their names, that's just
I
walk
got them.
Huh, okay,
I got them.
so if you wanna hit maybe them up to see if they could do some people. Do that.
Just do it. I think so. Yeah.
L2, discussion of possible action on village internet and telephone provider.
So, we sent the letter to Bertram Internet on advice from our lawyer, because I've been trying to talk to him, and he sort of was like, yeah, we'll talk about it when it, contract expires. And I disagreed with that we do not receive the service that was agreed upon. So we sent him a letter, he received it October 5th, responded back that he doesn't agree with us, and I said, because there's 7 service out of the 10 he doesn't provide. He says he doesn't agree with all of them. I said, it's not about whether you agree or disagree with all of them. You are not providing a large portion of the services. We would like to renegotiate the contract. He said he would get back to me. He was busy until the 18th. Well, the 30 days has expired, so I'm waiting to hear back from the lawyer what we can actually do. I don't want to just go to the water tower and turn the power off to the antenna, because we would not have internet then either.
Right.
So I'm waiting to hear back what our actions are. And he's dragging his feet, which I don't blame him, but it's just the fact that, with the amount we're paying for phone and everything would equal out 2 years worth of internet. It'd be a push. And if we could recoup some money from the rental of them antennas up there, we'd be looking good after the 2 years and essentially have internet discount rates. So I'm waiting to see what she says I can do.
So we have to wait on what the attorney says, so we can move it by consensus to Cal for
Yep.
possible follow-up.
Sounds good to
I'll
me.
make the motion to move it by consensus.
Go by consensus this time?
Yep.
All right.
Approval of payments, Michelle Marassi.
All right, payments are in there. There are a few additions. The Elan bill has been added, which is the credit card. I think Jesse added a few things this week, so there are a few additions. So we just need to have it approved with the addition.
Make a motion. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the payments with the noted additions.
Second.
Motion by Hartenstein, second by Kelly. To approve the payments with the additions added. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Treasurer's report, Michelle Marassi.
Treasurer's report is in there. Nothing really new in there. Numbers are in there.
I'll make a motion to approve the treasurer's report. I'll second it.
Motion by Stachek, second by Zuliger, to approve the treasurer's report. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Announcements.
TID board review meeting is next Thursday at 5:00. Packets will be going out for that hopefully end of the week here. Fire commission meeting next Thursday at 5:30. That is at the fire station. Packets will go out for that this week. Committee of the whole will be on the 21st at 6 p.m. That's a Tuesday, Thanksgiving, and the day after Thanksgiving, office will be closed. And then we'll be doing a plan commission on the 4th, that Monday, that first
And
Monday,
first Monday of.
Yeah.
Yes, the 4th.
December 4.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion by Kelly, Court, second by Zuliger to adjourn. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Adjourned at 7:23 p.m.
6:23?
or 6:23
There was a
p.m.
time change.
Sorry.
We're in the wrong clock.